Racists and some racially biased commentators often cherry pick statistics to push a narrative that reinforces racial stereotypes, particularly against Black Americans. One of their most common tactics is inconsistently switching between per capita data and raw totals, depending on what makes their argument look stronger. Per capita versus raw number switcheroo. When they use per capita, racists like to use per capita per 100,000 people stats when it exaggerates disparities against Black people, especially in crime discussions. For example, claim Black people commit more violent crimes per capita than white people. They do this to argue that Black people are disproportionately, even though many factors like poverty, feasting patterns, over-surveillance, underreporting in white areas, and systemic discrimination are ignored. What they leave out? White people still commit the largest number of crimes in total numbers because they are the largest group. Per capita stats don't explain why something is happening. They only measure occurrence relative to population, not causes, when they use raw numbers. But when the raw number helps whites look better, they'll drop the per capita comparison. Example, more white people are killed by police than Black people. This is true in total numbers because the white population is much larger, but per capita, Black people are 2.5 to 3 times more likely to be killed by police, which they intentionally leave out. Cherry picking logic. They choose whichever stat, total or per capita, makes Black people look worse or white people look better rather than using data consistently. Other examples of cherry picking: welfare use. Racists will say Black people are the face of welfare, but in raw numbers, more white Americans have historically received welfare because they're a larger group. In per capita terms, yes, Black and Latino recipients may be higher proportionally, but that's due to economic disparities rooted in systemic racism like redlining, job discrimination, and underfunded schools. And so, interracial crime. They'll say Black people commit 85 to 90% of interracial crime against whites. They're misusing victimization surveys and ignoring that most crime is intra-racial, white on white and Black on Black. They also leave out white on Black crimes, police underreporting, and historical context of undercounted white criminality. Example, lynchings, domestic terror, hate crimes. Inconsistent standards equals bad faith. You'll notice they never use the same standards across the board. When talking about crime per capita, when talking about white victims or welfare, raw totals. When discussing police violence, raw totals. When discussing Black success or failure, back to per capita. What they avoid discussing, systemic causes of disparities, redlining, school funding, policing, media bias, white collar crime, fraud, embezzlement, corporate crimes, largely white and vastly underpoliced, gun violence by white men. Mass shootings are overwhelmingly committed by white males, but rarely used to generalize. FBA news and updates, signing off.